Ball club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Thursday, August 25th, 2025, season 21, episode number 26. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break Live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, represented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. Man, it feels good to be back in studio. This is my first time back in studio since before training camp. So I am very happy to be back here. I know you guys have been holding it down.
Yeah.
I know. You guys have been holding it down. I had to go celebrate with my wife just so I can I'm going to give her a little shout out, right?
Yeah, there you
25 years of marriage.
Man.
And so we had to go and we got away for a few days to go and celebrate 25 years of marriage. So I couldn't be on the shows with you guys.
I've been divorced almost 18 years.
I am 33 years old, so I mean,
Yeah.
we're all
You have
peers.
a way of making me feel old.
We're
bro.
all peers. I tell Bryan all the time, I was born in 92, and he always said, my first day in Green Bay was 1992.
It was.
Oh, 92 was a good
It's
year.
my 27th birthday, December
I
12,
wouldn't know.
1991.
Let me say this. I don't want to talk about the documentary too much because I'm still boycotting Jerry till we sign Micah, but it's like the first 7 episodes, I'm like, damn, boy, it must have been cold in the 90s. Man, the 90s must have been fun. But episode 8 was all the stuff I was alive for, and I was like, man, this sucks. So shouts out to the documentary and all that kind of stuff, man.
That documentary is really, really good.
It's really good.
I got to see an advanced copy of it, and so I was trying to hold back not talking to people about it, but I was like, man, this thing is really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Good documentary, though. Shouts out to him.
And the funny part is I lived through it when I wasn't a Cowboys fan. I was an Oilers fan at that point.
Oh,
I grew up in Houston. So I was an Oilers fan, and so I was in college. My roommate in college was a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So we always were going back and forth, Houston, Dallas. Yeah. So having to rewatch that, some of that was a little painful for me because there was some moments where I was like, man, if you say another word about them Cowboys, we're gonna have a problem.
I missed it. I was a baby. I was Google Gaga.
Yeah.
We here now, though.
We are.
Super Bowl this year. Count it.
All right, let's go.
That's a lot.
No, let's do that. All right, so here's what I want to start with. Today we're going to talk about the roster, and Cowboys have a lot of things, a lot of decisions to make on this cut. I think cuts have to be out by tomorrow at 3 or 4?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. All right, so by tomorrow, Cowboys will have all their cuts finalized. You probably, if history is any indication, you'll probably start to hear those trickle out over the next 24 hours between today and tomorrow, but they'll have their final list by 3 o'clock tomorrow. Before we get into roster cuts, and we'll go through all of that, I first want to talk about Trayvon Diggs. We found out over the weekend that he did pass his physical. He is added to the 53-man roster. The expectation is that he's now available to the Cowboys. My question for you guys is, what does he need to do at this point in order to be active week one, which week one for the Cowboys is early. It's next Thursday night. Thursday night football against the Eagles.
Everyone needs to understand that just because we pulled the PUP designation off Diggs doesn't mean he's fully playing in week 1 or week 2 for that matter. Have to remove that to let him participate in mock games and start the ramp up in practice. But all while he remains running here tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday while everybody else is off. This is the 5th week of conditioning. By the second game, he will be almost 8 weeks of conditioning. That's exactly what they're thinking about this guy right now. It's not really about week 1, but potentially week 2. But they're trying to get him 8 full weeks of conditioning in order to be a part of this football team in the coming weeks.
Bryan Broaddus with the golden phone. Shouts out to you, sir. But it all makes sense, right? Because once you think about Pup and how long Pup is, then that just means that they're optimistic about him coming back sooner than later. Just me outside looking in. I don't have sources in my phone, Bryan, but I was thinking this was going to be like a week 9, week 10 type thing. So the Cowboys will be short at corner for a long amount of time. It just means to me week 3 or 4 or so like that, then maybe Diggs will come back sometime, get some plays, 12 reps, 15 reps, and maybe by week 5 we'll be full go. But it's good news in general to have him back because this cornerback room, everybody needs hurt. So we need all the bodies you can get.
How much does this complicate their ability to cut the roster, knowing that they'll have to go into the season and potentially a game 2, 3, whatever that number is, they'll have to make it work without Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, they're going to have to go short at a couple of spots is what they might have to do. You might see them, we've talked about wide receiver, and it's 5 or 6. It looks like it's going to be 5 is what. So that means one less right there. Tight end, people were thinking maybe 4. It looks like it's going to be the 3 with Hunter Lipke kind of playing. So they're going to have to rob from one position to kind of make sure that they carry enough at the cornerback spot. I think there are going to be some surprises at corner. I mean surprises as of guys that we kind of thought were part of this, going to be potentially part of this roster. And I think of a guy like with Hall, Keeman Hall. He was a guy that was through training camp was the starting nickel. As conversations are starting to kind of get through, Keeman Hall might be a guy that's released, and then all of a sudden, now you're in a situation where Childers is the guy, and but so it's a really a fluid situation. I haven't heard anything about trades or anything like that or adding. I'm sure they're going to try and play the waiver wire if they can. This won't, when we get to the cut and we start to talk about, well, here's the team on Tuesday. The team on Tuesday will not be the same team on Friday. It's just not going to happen. Yep. So it does potentially, but they have to account for guys that they're going to have, like Micah Parsons. If Micah Parsons doesn't practice this week, likely Micah Parsons is not going to play in the game on next week. So with all that being said, then these guys become inactive players, the game day inactives, but you got to be able to account for those guys for the roster.
So, Bryan, let me just ask you this. When you were doing this and y'all was on the board and y'all was writing it all out, was it broken down by corners and safety? Huh?
That was a little shot.
Because it's old, because he got to write it on the chalkboard and all that?
Well, we had tags.
Okay.
We had tags.
Okay.
Yeah, we had tags. But you're right. No, the way we used to do it.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I'd love to have a chalkboard again. Like used to be able to write on a chalkboard. The thing that we would do with the tags is you would have your guys that you had questions about. You'd still have them as part of the 53.
Sure.
And then you'd have the guys, okay, these are the guys we know we're going to move on from. But then you'd have them as all together. Mm-hmm. The corners would be with the safety. So you always thought of the defensive line as 10 or 9. You always thought the
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
So
you always thought about the number of by position.
So that board, was it corners and safety, or was it just DBs?
DBs.
Because I think that'll make it kind of weird, because guys like Israel, right?
Yeah.
Where do we place him? Because in the preseason games, he was doing a lot of safety things.
Yeah.
I don't think they carry more than 4 safeties, right? Marquise Bell,
I don't think they do either.
Wanye, and then your first 2 guys. So where do you place it? And he's a guy that kind of got brought back a little bit, so I was assuming Israel was going to be a big part of this thing. He played a lot of preseason snaps, a bunch, and that means something
deep
to me.
into the second half of the third preseason game, which usually you don't have guys out there that you're thinking are going to make the team, but who knows?
Who knows? That says a lot to me. So however they cue this thing up, there's a bunch of people on social media saying, well, there's no way Andrew Booth is going to be here. Even if he is here,
he's here.
There's no promise that he'll be here week 5 or so.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
right now,
Exactly.
Booth is here because you need those bodies.
Exactly.
Josh Butler's not here, and Savon Revell, we're still going to have to figure that out. But there's a lot more corners that's going to make this thing early than later.
As you mentioned, Savon Revel, is he a guy that at this point, the likelihood that he gets on the field before, let's say, half the season is done is probably not likely, or do you think it is likely? Have you heard anything about time frame for him?
No, there never was a time frame with him, and it was, put it this way. I know in the summertime, once he signed and he was working here with Britt Brown and with the training staff, that there was a possibility that he was going to be ready for the season. There were some talks, there's some whispers. But that was just talk and whispers. That wasn't anybody telling me, from the training staff, oh, he will be ready week 1 or he'll be ready at training camp. It was going to be a process throughout. They picked up the rehab. Late in the actual rehab. I mean, he'd been working here in Dallas, but he's a college player. He'd been working with another group. The rehab here with the Cowboys was different than what they were doing. So they never had any expectations. I think we, as the media, had expectations like, oh, you count the months, he should be available and all that. So, I think that's a situation where if they get him back, it'll be. Now, maybe we all know how the season works, the attrition of the season. You could lose guys along the way. That might be, instead of having to go out and get somebody, here's a guy that you plug him in and then you're ready to go that way. I think that's how we have to look at him right now is, as the season wears on, is he a guy you plug in, which I think that would be the case.
Brian, would you want to hold on to him for that reason if your last name was Jones? Or would you just sit him out for the rest of the season and just fully recover and not even thinking about it? Because this cornerback is hard already. Sure. And then cornerback when your knees hurt, and then cornerback when you're a rookie for the first time out there. The Revel that we saw on film 2 years ago is not going to be the guy day one, I think, personally. Because even guys like Kalen Carson will show you the college film is not going to always be the first-year film. And a big part of cornerback is confidence. I don't want to put him out there and he's fresh off recovery, maybe 5 weeks or so, and he's still not the guy that we think he is. If it was me, and nobody cares what I think, just sit him out. He would be the perfect IR guy, and then maybe next year he's been lifting weights all off season, recovering all off season, and then he can start camp and get a full camp, and then we can go. I'm not sure if I just like him sitting out for a year and a half, 2 years, and then showing up. All right, Kansas City, go get him. I would sit him out, and maybe a guy like Kalen Carson could, benefit from that. But
yeah, we need to see, because he's listed, his designation is non-football injury. We have to see. I don't think you could go from non-football injury to IR.
What does that mean, Brian?
That means that he got hurt somewhere else,
right?
And then so I need to figure out a lot of these designations mean you can do one but not the other. Maybe they can keep him on the non-football injury list and then navigate it for there. There might be a possibility that he can come back. I'll check at the break where that is, that he, if like I say, but he can stay on that list. But what's the chance of bringing him back? Me personally, I'd like to see him get some experience. I would. I mean, it doesn't seem with Carson, things kind of backfired with him a little bit. And by the way, that's another one that they're kind of working through right now. We'll see if, in fact, that he's here or not. But yeah, if it was me personally, I'd like to see the kid play.
Yeah,
or just get the experience of practicing, even if he's inactive every week. Just get the experience of him practicing with everybody and getting a feel for that. So he's just not, his first year, he's completely isolated from everybody.
Yeah, I can't remember the player that we were talking about at the time, but I had a similar question years ago, Voch, that I asked one of the Cowboys coaches, and the response I got was, you only get better playing football by playing football.
Yeah.
And so even though, I get your point that, and I actually thought that way too, but the way you're is you don't have to throw him in the fire and say play all the snaps.
But at least
there are ways to have him practicing. There are ways to have him maybe in the game for a few snaps here and there. Maybe you get him out on special teams. He's just kind of reacclimating himself to football. The point is there are things you can do with him to reacclimate him and not expect to have him to take a full load. And those things are better than him sitting on IR.
Right.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to cut this roster. Cowboys can listen in. We'll help them get this all settled out, and we can figure out what this 53-man roster should look like. We'll do that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
AT&T has a new guarantee, because most things in life are not guaranteed, like getting through self-checkout by yourself.
Warning, each item must be placed in the bagging area.
Not guaranteed.
Place item in the bagging area. Place item in the bagging area.
You know what AT&T guarantees? Connectivity you depend on, deals you want, and service you deserve. Or we make it right. Terms and conditions apply. Visit att.com/guarantee for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman here. As the official pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys, you know I take cookware seriously, especially when it comes to America's team. So when the Cowboys are away, I'm putting my Yeti cast iron skillets to work to make my game day favorites for friends and family. I'm talking chicken fried steak, skillet queso, and peach cobbler. And just like the Cowboys are forever, so are these heirloom cast iron skillets. Check out the full line of skillets on Yeti.com or at a Yeti store near you.
Every day begins with a promise to work hard and to build a future. That's why we're here, providing the tools, expertise, and John Deere equipment you have relied on for generations to help you get the job done right. We're with you. That's our promise to you, because no matter the project or the challenge you're facing,
we're with you. We're united. If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
Choose perfection. Choose LG OLED Evo. Check out the best TV in the game at LG.com.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment's brought to you by blockchain.com.
Hey.
Ding!
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the roster. We're going to go position by position, and I'm going to ask a simple question that probably doesn't have a simple answer in most instances, but I'm going to ask these guys at each position, what is the hardest decision that the Cowboys have to make at that position? It could be a player. It can be the number of people that they're going to keep on the roster at that position. It can be whatever you think is the toughest decision that has to be made, and then we'll take that discussion from there for the players that will and ultimately will not make this roster. Let's start first with the quarterback position. What is the biggest decision Cowboys have to make there?
So just to be clear, the third guy doesn't count against the roster until you need him to count against the roster, the reserve quarterback?
Yeah, to actually, I mean, yeah. So you're saying, though, he's game day, that is.
Yeah, that's game day.
That's game day.
That's not the 53 man.
53, you have to have him on.
He has to be on the 53?
He has to be on
Because part of me feels like, and I've been saying this a lot, if anything bad happens, like not like 2, 3, 4, we just going to draft season anyway. That's how I feel. So if I could save a little bit of room, because it's really going to get difficult when we get to running backs, tight end, and maybe O-line. If I could save a spot, I would try to save it at quarterback, because if you get deep into the quarterback woods like that, just sign somebody from the street, hand the ball off, and just get through your season. If you need somebody to win 3 or 4 games, I imagine Joe's going to be the guy. Joe had a really good game this last Sunday. We beat him up when he does bad. I have to say, Joe Milton, you did well in game 3. Yeah. But I don't think Will Greer is going to change anything. So if something happens to Milton, we're drafting. So I just wouldn't carry a third quarterback. But I'm not sure how those rules work.
I think they carry 2. I think, so there you go. And I think they're going to try and put Will Greer on the practice squad, is what I would say. That's how I guess. That's how I
guess they can get him there, right?
You would hope. There might be some teams. You never know. I used to be the guy that says, "Oh God, you can't put that guy out there. He'll get claimed and all that," and then they don't claim any of your guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that there's a possibility. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what every team's backup situation is. Sure. But if you can get him through, I think being on the practice squad is probably how they want to do it with the elevations and things like that.
So, Bryan, does this happen because Milton won the battle versus Greer, so that they can let go of the older guy and keep the young guy that they want to kind of fix a little bit?
Yeah.
Because think about last year, right? Trey Lance was in the fight with Cooper Rush, but he lost. So Cooper Rush is the backup guy.
Yeah.
But they just can't let go of Trey Lance, so they kept 3 quarterbacks. Right? So do they keep 2 because this is Voch saying is the guy that they wanted to be quarterback 2 actually won the battle, and Greer can just go?
I believe they gave this guy the job from the jump. The way that they practiced him at training camp and all that, he got all the reps. Every bit of this intent was that Joe Milton was going to be the second quarterback. It looked very reminiscent of what they did with Cooper Rush last year. It's just he got all the reps, and then he was the second quarterback, and Trey Lance was the third quarterback. And so I just feel like that they felt like that Joe Milton was going to be that guy, and hopefully they get Will Greer back to the practice squad.
Sure.
You guys feel comfortable if you had, as you said before, 2-3 games where you needed a quarterback that Milton could step in and do that?
You're going to have to play the college offense.
Yeah,
I believe that. You're going to do what Green Bay did with Willis and try and play like that. Do things when he can play loose and free, and you don't have to make him a pocket passer and all that. He's a much better player. You saw what Joe Milton is capable of just letting him play football. He rewarded the receivers for getting open. Those guys did a good job. Guys, the last 3 games have been doing a great job getting open. Right hash throw, left sideline. Boom, right there, ball there. Like slant. Oh, wait, it's covered. Don't throw the ball. A little bit better reading there. You know, there are things that Joe Milton did in this game, and I thought it was kind of, they played it, let him play a little bit more of a loose style of a game. And if you're going to use him, that's how you're going to have to play going forward.
All right, let's talk about a position that I think is a little harder to decipher, the running back position. They got a lot of bodies there. Talk to me about the biggest decisions they're going to have to make at that position.
So Miles Sanders didn't play in the preseason game because he got nicked up a little bit at practice. Okay, cool. You can pretty much tell how they feel about somebody, whether they play or not. So Javonte Williams, it seems like he's here. Jadon Blue, I think, is the talented young guy. He's here. Man, Phil Moffitt deserved to be here, though. Just in my mind, I feel like Phil Moffitt deserves to be here. Hunter Lipke counts as a running back, or does he count as a tight end? I think it's going to be weird because some of the tight ends did well and kind of fought their way onto this thing, so you might have to count Lipke as a running back. That's going to suck. Malik Davis is going to be ready for you no matter what happens because he's proved that he can come off the couch and play for you. So I think this comes down to Moffitt and Miles Sanders, I would say. I would go Moffitt because he's younger and we don't owe Miles anything. When Miles had an opportunity to play preseason games, it didn't look all that great to him. Moffitt had a better preseason showing, just in my own personal opinion, just my eyes. I would go with Moffitt. So if it's me, I'm going Moffitt, Blue, Williams, and Lipke at fullback.
Yeah, the question is there might be an injury with Moffitt that they're dealing with right now. Okay. So if that's the case, then maybe they're trying to kind of figure out some things with him. But I don't think that Deuce Vaughn's going to make the team. I think it's going to come down to whether they, with Moffitt, how comfortable are they with this potential injury that they're looking into. So that's a to be determined, I think, right now. But he had a really good training camp. But there's some questions about, like I say, they might go with the 2 veterans and then go with Blue. And then, as you mentioned, Hunter Lipke being the 4th guy. But we'll see what happens with Blue in the next couple of days.
Brian, let me ask you this. When we get to the regular season, is Jadon Blue going to still be a punt gunner and get tackles on kickoff? Because he was a punt gunner, he got tackles on.
If he's going to be active, he probably has to, right?
Yeah, well, as the backup guy, depending on how much he plays, yeah. But what was impressive the other day, he had the first tackle in the game and on the kickoff, and then he was in on another one a little bit later. Mm-hmm. So he did show that ability and the desire to go down there, and he uses his speed. He kind of runs around guys. You know, we'll see what happens when – there's better tight ends and linebackers and guys out there that can block. So, but I was encouraged by what I saw from him on much like him and Flanoy on special team stuff. He didn't look out of place at all. I mean, the effort was good and the finish was good.
All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position. What's the toughest decision they got to make there?
They're going to carry 5. They're going to carry 5 here, and Flanoy is going to be the last one.
Turpin counts? Turpin counts as a wide receiver?
Turpin counts as a wide receiver.
Okay. And you got Pickens, you got CD.
Yep.
You got Tolbert.
Yep.
And then you got Turpin.
Yep.
And then you say Flanoy is the 5th with Mingo obviously
Mingo's
going out.
Brooks is Mingo's going to go to the injured reserve where you could bring 2 guys back. So he's going to go to the injured reserve list. It used to be you have to keep guys on the roster for a day and play some gymnastics with the roster. In this case, you can do 2 guys. He's going to be one of the guys that they're going to be able to go ahead and send and then bring him back later.
What are your thoughts on Trayshawn Holden? Because he was a guy that I think during camp certainly made some plays that we all thought were really good.
Sure.
In this last game, had a couple drops that probably didn't help him much.
Sure.
What do you think is the future for him here with the Cowboys?
He has a future. He definitely flashed a little bit. I think there's a coach here that's going to try his best to keep him around, and that's going to help. I just think Flournoy showed more consistency over time. Like, Holden did make the big plays, the big flashy plays we would see. If Milton would just hit Flournoy would have ridiculous preseason numbers. And just watching him, he seems like a Flournoy. He seems like he's getting route running, like he's finding space now, like he's understanding small things. Holden is still physicaling his way through this thing, if that makes sense. So if this is going to be an offense that's based on timing and being friendly to number 4, I think that fits 19 better than number Holden ain't gonna have them 7 than Holden. So
they really think that Flanoy has a big upside. They feel like that the light has come on for him, and you watch him Watch him as a blocker.
Sure.
They run the ball, and Deuce hits it up there really, really well. And how many times have you seen a wide receiver come down inside and have to crack on a linebacker inside, and then they make the business decision and just kind of peel off? Nah, man, he just threw his body in there and got a block, and Deuce found it and then went behind it. So, his ability on special teams, what he showed up, catching the football, with the times he was given, the plays he was going to make, man. And this is nothing against Brooks. Brooks had some really good practices, and Brooks had some good games. If you talk about a guy that might get claimed, if a pro guy's watching what the Cowboys are doing special teams wise and offensive wise with Brooks, and you've kind of followed along what's been said on DallasCowboys.com and other platforms, we've talked about Brooks quite glowingly. And so if you're down a receiver and you need a fifth guy, that would not be a bad option there.
When Mingo comes back, what happens with Tolbert and
that's now you have that's I asked this question of you the other day.
You did?
What happens with does Mingo going to have a hard time getting his job back if all of a sudden they're having success with Flournoy and Tolbert and those guys are playing well?
You did.
I think that's one of those things that it's a problem you would love to have, but I think it's going to be hard for Mingo, especially like I say. We'll see what Tolbert does. I think that Flournoy is. I think he's got the temperament and the attitude to keep this job. Now, I hope he doesn't go the other way and fought my way on this team and now take a deep breath.
Hate it.
No, man, you need to go out there and continue to throw your body around the way you did if you want to stay on this team.
All right, let's look at the tight ends. Toughest question the Cowboys have to answer there.
I think Princeton Fant kind of making it weird for some of these guys. I think he had a fantastic last 2 games just as a blocker and just being. So, Bryan, we always talk about this, right? Redundancies. We keep coming back to limiting redundancies. Mm-hmm. And I think not as a catch the ball type guy, but I think Fant has showed up as a blocker, like as a lead blocker. So now he could do fullback things. Now he could do tight end things. And I think him having more versatility. I don't think Schoonmaker goes anywhere because Schoonmaker didn't play, and that says a lot. But I think Fant's gonna make it difficult for them. Like that's the hardest one. Now if they cut him, it makes sense because just roster wise, you're not gonna throw him the ball a whole bunch. But I do think him playing well these last 2 games definitely made it difficult.
No, he did play well, and Fairweather played well too. They're gonna keep 3. It's gonna be the top 3. It's gonna be Ferguson, Spanford, and Schoonmaker, and then we'll see how they get others to the practice squad if that's the case.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the offensive line here before we take our final break. What's the toughest part of offensive line cuts? Because we know who the starters are. That's pretty clear. Who makes the cut as second line, third line guy?
I think it's going to come down to Adeniji or Awesome Richards. I think one of them. They might go light here, and I mean light. Usually you'd like to carry 10. Mm-hmm. They might carry 11 defensive linemen, which means they'll carry 9 offensive linemen. So that could be the gymnastics that you're going to have to deal with right now. But there's a thought that Awesome Richards was not selected by this staff. I mean, he's a guy that's come in. He's talked about I'd like to play guard. He wasn't as good at guard as he was at tackle.
Sure.
And so. But you've got guys like Hoffman and Bass, and those guys have shown that they could play guard, and they played every preseason game. Matter of fact, they all earned their letter jackets after the second week. They'd played enough snaps to where they were clearly the lead of all that. So I think it's going to come down to Adeniji and Richards, and I'm kind of leaning to that they might keep Adeniji over Awesome Richards.
Bryan, let me ask you something. So Richards playing tackle, guard, motion tight end guy. Does that add to his argument?
Yeah, I think that they were trying to see if they could find something to him, but they might try and they might go another route there with somebody else on that.
I always say that when you start lining up at guard, you've been a tackle your whole life, like something bad is about to happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're trying to find
it happens. It happened. Remember, it happened to him. Matt, let's go.
A 6'8" guard.
The minute they move you from tackle to guard, they're usually it's not very good.
They're just like, at this point, we got to see if we can find something.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So your new motion guy is probably going to be Hakeem.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I say, it it could be that they only keep 9. If they keep 10, there might not be this question, but I think that's what they're talking through right now.
Then the only reason I asked you that, because we were at camp, they did it a bunch. Like, if they did it once or twice, like per week, then I wouldn't even bring it up. They did it multiple times every day.
Yeah.
So maybe moving offensive line tight end guy is going to be a major part of this thing. So that's why I thought it was important. But please, go ahead.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we still got the defense. We'll talk about how this Cowboys team is going to cut the defense to get down to the 53-man roster. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner. With over $9 billion in business loans and more than 140 business specialists right here in North Texas, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
AT&T has a new guarantee because most things in life are not guaranteed, like getting through self-checkout by yourself.
Warning, each item must be placed in the bagging area.
Not guaranteed.
Place item in the bagging area. Place item in the bagging area.
You know what AT&T guarantees? Connectivity you depend on, deals you want, and service you deserve. Or we make it right. Terms and conditions apply. Visit att.com/guarantee for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and we are presented by LG. LG is the world's number one OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. All right, let's talk about the defensive line position. This one's a little interesting because you have the factor of Micah Parsons and what's going to happen with that spot. Obviously, he's going to be on the roster, but is he going to be playing? No one really knows at this point. So you have to kind of account for those types of things. How do you think the Cowboys are going to address this position when it comes to the final roster?
Can we agree on how many D linemen that they carry first? Like, so is it going to be 10 or like 9? You know what I'm saying?
Might go a little long there. I mean, I think it's going to be 10 at the least, but you could have to go maybe a little long because, we're starting to hear some names that with Ernest Brown is being a guy that's kind of getting some love from this group. Well, that would be something that you kind of didn't plan on. But yeah, we'll have to with I've been told that Mozzie's going to make this team. So, there were some people kind of talking about that maybe that would be a spot. So, that gives you the defensive tackles so far of Mozzie, JT, Perion Winfrey, I think is going to make it. Osa, Solomon Thomas.
That's 5 tackles right there.
It's 5 tackles right there.
So now what I'm saying is, we carry 5 edges? Because I got 6 edges in my mind that should.
That's why I think they might go long. That's why I think that they might go long would go with 6 to make it 11. And then do you take one? Then you're going to have to. There's maybe your third quarterback. they took. Maybe that's the sixth wide receiver that they took. Maybe that's the 10th offensive lineman that they took. To get that spot on the defense, I think they were gonna have to take it from one of those other groups.
Let's go back a second. When you talk about,
by the way, too, Goodwin's another one you always have to account for.
Right. Yeah. When you talk about the defensive tackle position, there's only one guy currently on this roster that has the kind of size you would want from a true nose tackle type, was Toia.
Yeah. What's his name?
Toia.
Okay.
Toia.
I'm from Mississippi. I just say Toia, but
I call him JT.
JT. People say Toia.
Do you think that he has to make it because of that?
Oh, I think they're going to play with a light front myself.
Really? So you think they're going to play with two tackles that may be three tech types that they're going to put in the middle?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
I
agree.
And you can do that sometimes in this kind of scheme where you're only playing one gap, right?
Yeah, it's all about movement, and it's about being able to. It's not going to be about holding up blocks. It's going to be, can you attack a gap and hold up in that gap while linebackers and safeties fill behind you? That's how they're going to have to play the run.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them. Winfrey is a strong guy. Matter of fact, Winfrey played some end the other day and got some pressures, which is wild. Yeah. But yeah, they might look at this. Like I say, they might hope that Mozzie somehow comes around, and with JT, yes, but I see this front being kind of light and playing on the move a ton.
See, Bryan, I don't like hope. That's my first big problem with the whole Mozzie thing, and I promise I'm not trying to beat Mozzie upside the head, but just right now we know it's Osa and it's Solomon. We know that.
I think Winfrey can give you something.
Perrion is the clear 3 for me. Perrion Winfrey, he's playing with his hair on fire. Clear 3 for me. I think Jay Toia gives you the size you're looking for. Plus, we know the Cowboys love their rookies. They're even seventh round rookies. They love them, and he gives you something different that the rest of these guys don't really give you. I can't, with a honest tone in my voice, say that Mozzie's done so much that he's kept his place over Jay Toia. Even if they're close, I'm taking the young guy that just got here over the veteran that's been here 3 years. Because if the young guy is close to you, I'm just going to lean young guy. And Mozzie hasn't really left Jay Toia behind like I want him to. Please.
Let me ask you this question for both of you guys. Was Mozzie Smith better in this camp than he's been in the previous 2 camps?
I think that Jeff Sagina got something out of him last year in those camps. I think that maybe, and he played that way. I think there's times when you can watch Mozzie Smith play, and it's exactly what you need him to do. He's not the quickest. He was unblocked the other day and had a tackle for loss. Good for him that way.
He's unblocked.
But he can the problem is when you watch the tape and you see the sideline shot, he gets turned.
Urgency, Bryan.
He gets turned, and and that's the thing about it is, and you put him next to Winfrey. And everybody's getting off the ball, and it's a little bit of a slow thing. And I think this defense is predicated on everybody getting off the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that he really, really lacks. And I think this is one of those things where it's we're here, and this is the time where people would go into the meetings and talk about we've got to move on, we got to move on. And then the one guy who has to make the final call says, no, we're not moving on. And then you just say, or you're me, and you continue to bitch, and then you get fired for bitching all the time, or you keep your mouth shut and you move on to the next player. But I think we're to that point right now where the general manager wants to keep this particular player and see what he has, or see if this is, with the things that you saw last year against the division opponents, is that something you could build on?
Right.
I think that's where they're at.
And that's kind of the point of my question. As long as there is in their minds progress, whatever he started, as long as they keep continuing to see progress, when you invest a first-round pick in it, it makes the GM want to say, well, let's keep seeing if he continues to develop. Because the last thing a GM wants is you let go of a guy after year 2, heading into year 3, and then he goes somewhere else and he becomes even just a good player, right? Sure. A good player, right? So I think that's probably the issue is toward the end of last year, we started to see some things that were very positive, and that probably is why, in my opinion, they would hold on to him for an additional year.
I know exactly what you're talking about because it happened with us. We didn't draft, when we were in Green Bay, we didn't draft Tony Mandrich. Tony Mandridge was drafted very, very high by the Green Bay Packers. The Troy Aikman draft and all that. Yeah. And we moved on from Tony Mandridge, and he went to Indianapolis, and he became a good guard, a serviceable guard. And all of a sudden we looked at each other and like, so why did we not try him at guard? And then, listen.
Leonard Davis.
Listen, this is not one of those things. I always say this, they don't give a damn what we think. We probably think, oh, God, get rid of. And they've got other ideas. And I'm sure there's people out there in the comments that are going, well, that's the problem, Bryan. They don't, they should listen. And they're
saying that for sure.
I know. I know it. I've lived this. I've done this. I've worked for this man since 2011 sitting here. I know exactly what those comments are saying. But that's what they believe. And again, the comments are saying, well, that's why they're not winning. That's why they're not doing this or doing that. Fine. But they believe that this player can get something out of this player, and even though this is the third defensive line coach that he's had in his career, it's unfortunate.
My only problem with that though, and nothing with you saying right, no. Mozzie does have solid games sometimes, but it's John Michael Schmitz who we always had these.
There's no question.
It's the Giants.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, and they don't care about me.
Kelsey.
They care. But Jay Toia could probably whoop John Michael Smith too. Perrion Winfrey could probably whoop John Michael Smith too. That's my problem. And my whole thing is you have to cut somebody to keep Mozzie. I don't want to let go of a player because all these guys got brand new coaches. Solomon Thomas got brand new coaches. Osa got brand new coaches. At some point, you have to show me year three guy. At some point, you have to show me that all the outside stuff is not going to bother you. So every time I look at him, he just kind of, like have some pep in your step. Perrion Winfrey got pep in his step. He was just playing at the USF, whichever one. So you see that urgency in him. You see him fighting for his life. You see Jay Toia fighting for his life. I don't see Mozzie fighting for his life. He should be. As a year three player, he should be. And if they let him through again and they get rid of somebody that's playing better than him, that's when I would be upset. But they don't care if I'm upset.
That's all fair. Yep. It's all fair.
All right, linebacker. What do I have to decide on the linebacker position? Or is that pretty much – that seems to me like it's a position where you pretty much know who your guys are, right?
Leofau, Sanborn, Murray.
Yep.
Clark, and Shamar James, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where you're at. If I had to say, the interesting one would be Buddy Johnson or Darius Harris as a special teams guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I would look. But I think that it's going to be – I think it's Leofau, Sanborn, Murray, Clark, and James. I think that's kind of where we're at right now on those.
What happens when Overshown comes back?
Then that's kind of like the situations with the corners that you have to figure out. Okay, who is playing? Attrition will probably get something there too for it because when's Overshown due back?
Thanksgiving is what he's pointing to.
See, that's
a lifetime in
that's
NFL.
That's a long way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Can you even imagine right now being at Thanksgiving Day game? Like,
yes, I can.
So far off.
Yeah, I can. I can actually imagine. I can actually imagine it.
You're smelling the turkey.
No, I can imagine it because these seasons tend to go fast.
They do. Once you get into them, they go fast.
They go fast.
And then you're like, yeah. We haven't even gotten to the first game. All right, real quick before we end the show, let's get to the defensive backs. What do they have to do there?
Elam is fine. I've actually gained trust in him.
Mm-hmm.
Diggs will be like a week 5 guy, so we ain't worried about him right now.
Week 5?
4, 3.
Why y'all keep adding weeks, man? I came to the show thinking week 1. Bryan got
Don't
week
listen to
3.
me.
Now you at week 5.
Don't listen to me.
Y'all are killing these fans out here, man.
They be all right. Elam is fine. You would say that Bland is fine, but besides those two guys, where are we at, Bryan?
Yeah, I think if
Childress,
the question,
nickel?
the question I have right now is it sounds like that Hall is not on this team. It sounds like it just right now, and I need to figure out what they're going to do with Israel McQuamu is another one too. So it's like Elam, Booth, Bland. Carson's another one they're trying to kind of work through. I mean, could he be a guy that is he too banged up? But there was talk that he was going to come back. Does he make it? I mean, is he going to be on the 53? That's a big question mark right there. Childers seems to be a guy that's on there. You'd like to believe that they'd have 6 guys, but right now it's a little bit of a question mark. If they might just have to roll with 5.
When Carson comes back, how do you play him? Who do you sit down to get him reps? Kalen Carson.
Well, probably Booth.
To get him reps in the game, because I don't think Booth is going to be playing much unless something happens.
Well, I mean, like I said, the nickel is going to be it's going to be Elam, Bland, and then I think that Childress would be the nickel guy.
Yeah.
So that's your 3 starters there. I think that, and then you'll probably dress one more guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
probably Booth, right?
It's either Booth or McQuamu is who it is. If McQuamu is one of the, I need to circle back with him because I thought I was told there were some questions that they're trying to work through on Carson right now. So this might be a position that they have to maybe address, maybe a claim, or I mean, I don't think they're going to trade for somebody. I think this, if it's something that they're going to do, it'd be probably they address it to a claim than they would a trade.
All right, well, stay tuned. Cowboys will be making their cuts. Sorry.
I just want to say one thing. We didn't really go on the edges like that. James Houston deserves to make this team. I think Peyton Turner might be the guy out, but that's all I got on that.
No,
Houston has done a lot to. And
he's impressive in the preseason.
He's been very. That's why they might have to go a little long because they don't know exactly what they want to do with Houston.
Yep. All right. Cowboys will make all their cuts. They'll have to have them in tomorrow by 3 p.m. Central Time. So we'll have all that information for you here on DallasCowboys.com. It is the last day of alternating shows. We don't have a show tomorrow. The other half of the shows will go tomorrow. But then on Wednesday, we're here.
11 a.m.
Season's here. 11 a.m. will be our normal time. We will be going daily starting this Wednesday. And Wednesday, we'll start getting into, we'll talk a little bit about the roster, the final roster, and some of the things the Cowboys are looking into that they will have to look at going into the season. But in addition to that, on Thursday and Friday, as you guys have become used to hearing, we'll be talking about the opponent. I'll give you some breakdowns of the Eagles and what their team looks like this year. They've had some changes on their side, but a lot of the guys that were there when they won that Super Bowl last year are still there. We'll talk about all that and how the Cowboys will match up in week 1 of the NFL season. Guys, it's here. College football, pro football, we're back.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys, Jonas. We'll be back on Wednesday. Till then, for Voch, Lombardi, and Bryan Broaddus, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!